صلى عليه وسلم. Honorable and respectable elders, brothers in Islam, lovable youngsters, to each and every one of you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Chapter 4, Babu Sidqi, chapter on truthfulness. The discussion begins with 3 verses from Al-Quran Al-Kareem. The first verse from Surah At-Tawbah, Surah number 9, verse number 119. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. O believers, O you who believe, fear Allah and be with the truthful. So here 2 commands for the believers. Number 1, that we fear Allah, and number 2, that we are with those who are truthful. The second verse from Surah number 33, verse number 35, وَالصَّادِقِينَ وَالصَّادِقَاتِ, the truthful men and the truthful women. Essentially for them, Allah Almighty has prepared forgiveness and a great reward. So for those who are truthful, there is forgiveness that awaits them and a great reward from Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. And then Surah Muhammad, Surah number 47, verse number 21. Had they been truthful to Allah, it would have been much better for them. So 3 verses from the Quran which highlight the importance of speaking the truth, being with those who are truthful, and how there is great reward for the people of Sidq. So truthfulness according to the righteous means, that the external condition of a person conforms with his internal. So what does it mean to be truthful? That your external, your appearance, goes hand in hand with your internal, the state of your heart and your soul. The internal condition should not contradict his actions, nor should his actions contradict his internal condition. So again, both go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. So if you are truthful, then this will be reflected in your actions. If there is truthfulness in your heart, if there is a truthfulness in your soul, then this will manifest itself through your actions. And similarly, your actions should not contradict the internal condition. Further to this, truthfulness applies to speech when it corresponds to a reality. So truthfulness not just in actions but also in speech. Hamesha sach bolo. And living a life of truth and honesty creates contentment and confidence and honor and trustworthiness within a person, because one will not have the fear and the anxiety of being disgraced. So we know the opposite of truthfulness is lying. And if you live your life lying and cheating and doing people over, then eventually one day this will catch up and it will be a means of your disgrace. So we have to be from amongst those who are truthful. The first narration here reflects this. Hadith number 54 in this book. Remember, we are going through some of the selected narrations from each chapter from Riyad as-Salihin min kalami Sayyid al-Mursaleen. The first narration here is narrated by Sayyiduna Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Sahibun Na'layn wal Miswak, the companion who used to carry the blessed Na'layn Sharifain and the Miswak Mubarak of Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the 6th person to embrace Islam. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud with a sin, yes? the sixth person to embrace Islam, and no doubt he's from amongst the famous companions. He was also known as Sahibul Asrar, Sahibul Asrar, yani the keeper of the secrets of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was the only companion who was allowed to enter the blessed house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam without having to seek permission. Even Jibril could not enter without first seeking permission. But this is the maqam of this Sahabi. And he used to be the attendant, and he used to do khidmah of the Prophet ﷺ when Nabi Islam were in Safar. Okay? And the Prophet ﷺ held him in high esteem. During the Dawr Khilafat, he was sent to Kufa by Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And this is quite significant because this companion spread Islam in Iraq, in Kufa, and he is within the chain of individuals from the Prophet ﷺ all the way to Imam Azam, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala. So Islam spread in the land where Imam Abu Hanifa originates from through this companion, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. When he returned back to Al-Madinatul Munawwara, it's mentioned that 4,000 scholars of Kufa, they saw him off. And he was responsible for producing these scholars. He narrated 848 prophetic narrations from the Prophet ﷺ, and he passed away in Al-Madinatul Munawwara, and today is one of the 10,000 companions resting in Jannatul Baqiyya. And is famously known about Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that they used to have very thin legs, skinny legs. And sometimes this used to be the reason why some companions would use it against them. Not in a mocking way, but Sahaba amongst themselves. So this became known to the Prophet ﷺ. So Nabi Islam addressed those companions and said to them that if you were to place the two legs of Sahibul Asrar, Sahibul Na'laini wal Miswak, on one side of the scale, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud's legs on one side of the scale, and you were to place the mountain of Uhud, which is over 1.5 kilometers long, Jabalun min Jibal al-Jannah, a mountain from the mountains of Jannah, on the other side of the scale, then Abdullah ibn Mas'ud's blessed legs would be heavier than the mountain of Uhud. So again, Islam doesn't judge you and me by our appearances. It doesn't judge you and me by the size of our chest, or how much we bench, or how many squats we can do without collapsing, or push-ups and star jumps and burpees or whatever they call them. Islam measures success by the sincerity in our hearts. The more sincere you are, the more successful you are. We spoke about the importance of sincerity, very first chapter, a couple of days ago. So Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is the narrator here. عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن الصدق يهدي إلى البر وإن البر يهدي إلى الجنة وإن الرجل لا يصدق حتى يكتب عند الله صديقا. इस रिवायत का पहला हिस्सा. Nabi Islam said truthfulness, that's what we're talking about. Truthfulness, sidq, leads to righteousness. Truthfulness leads to righteousness. And righteousness leads to the gardens of paradise. Sach bolna ye jannat ka rasta hai. Speaking the truth is what leads you to the gardens of paradise. And a person who habitually speaks the truth. Okay.
I would have then, to be fair.
This one's got a mind of its own. So here, a person habitually speaks the truth until he is recorded as a very truthful person. So you keep speaking the truth. Then eventually you will be recorded as a truthful person. In whose bargah? In the sight of Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. So speaking the truth leads to a person being truthful. So this is the first part of the narration. The second part, فَإِنَّ الْكَذِبَ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْفُجُورِ وَإِنَّ الْفُجُورَ يَهْدِي إِلَى النَّارِ وَإِنَّ الرَّجُلَ لَا يَكْذِبُ حَتَّى يُكْتَبَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ كَذَّابًا. The opposite of speaking the truth is falsehood. Falsehood leads to fujur, leads to evil. And evil leads to the fires of Jahannam. So speaking lies, telling lies, spreading falsehood, this is what leads to evil. Evil leads to the fires of Jahannam. A person habitually speaks lies until he is recorded as a grave liar in the sight of Allah. That person becomes a kadhab. So we find this to be the case, that some people are known for lying. Within our circle of friends, amongst our family members, adatan, habitually they are liars. You know the next thing that's coming out of his mouth is going to be a lie. If you were to go through your contact list, if you were to go through your family members, if you were to reflect upon your friends, those who are around you, they're one or the other, right? You can't be in the middle. Either you're truthful or you are a liar. So we need to make this choice. Okay? So truthfulness leads to righteousness, which means that truthfulness guides a person to perform good and sincere actions. So when you speak the truth, the outcome of this is what? That you will perform good and sincere actions. Whereas falsehood leads to evil, which means that lies and dishonesty lead a person to indulge in sinful speech and actions. So if you become habitual in telling lies, then this will be detrimental for your faith, detrimental for your iman. So this is a matter of Jannat and Jahannam, and we're in the Ashra of Itqum minan nar, where we seek freedom and emancipation from the hellfire. So one of the ways of protecting yourselves from the fires of Jahannam is by becoming a truthful person. And in every matter, in every state, in every way and shape and form. Yet that you only speak the truth when it suits you, or that you want to gain something, or you're after something. Always speak the truth. The consequences of lying are detrimental. The curse of Allah Almighty is upon those who lie. La'natullahi ala al-kadhibin. Ye Surah Ali Imran mein hai na? That the curse of Allah Almighty is upon those who lie. Similarly, when we lie, a foul smell, odor comes from our mouth. And this leads to the angels of mercy being distant from us. In one narration he mentioned 3 miles distant from us. And if they don't come near you when you begin to lie. And lying is from amongst the signs of a hypocrite. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Ayatul Munafiqi Thalathun, that the signs of a hypocrite are 3. إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ. The first sign of a hypocrite is that when he speaks, he lies. Jelai bolna, jhoothi bolna. Hamesha jhoothi bolna. إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ وَإِذَا اؤْتُمِنَ خَانَ. Number 2, when he's given some sort of amanat, he does khayanat. He doesn't fulfill his responsibility of looking after that thing that he's been told to look after. وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفَ أَوْ كَمَا قَالَ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ. And the third is that when he makes a promise, he breaks that promise. And in one narration is mentioned, even if that person prays, even if that person fasts. ऐसे लोग हैं ना, नमाज़ पढ़ने, रोज़े रखने, ज़कात भी देने, हर साल उम्रे और हज पर जाने, लेकिन they are habitual liars, they break their promises, they don't fulfill their trusts. Bariya dariya ji. And we find this common amongst our people, that we'll lend them money, we'll give them what we refer to as dar. We lend them money, give them a loan. And at the time of them being desperate for that loan, and they'll make all sorts of promises. Bro, don't worry, within 2 months you'll get your money back. Pakka vada yaar. Albatta, some even go as far as saying, 10 bande hi balo, likhi gano, koi masla nahi. Couple of £100, couple of thousands of pounds. We trust that person. He's our boy. Day one, he's been with us, or he's our family member, or even our own sakka pra. We trust them. What happens? When the deadline for them to return the money comes, they're nowhere to be seen. फिर ऐसा मिन्नत करनिया पड़ियाँ जी, पैसे वापस दो जी, पैसे वापस दो जी, क्यों? नाराज़गी बनियान जी, नाराज़गी बनियान. इस विच कोई शक नहीं. I remember from my time in London, बहुत पहले पुरानी गल है. One person came to me and said, Imam Sahib, one of my family members, he owes me £25,000. तो मैं किस सन निकाला 1992 नहीं, हूँ क्या फ़ायदा? ये तकरीबन 10 साल 12 साल पहले निकाला, यानी 3 साल गुजरी गए. ये भी बाकायदा हमारी नादानी है. We are at fault as well, that when we do lend somebody money, ये मसला है, फिकी मसला, then yes, you should have witnesses present. You should write it down. If after that that person still doesn't fulfill his responsibility of returning your money to you, then ultimately you can hold him to account, be it in a court of law or certainly on the day of judgment in the court of Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. Yes? Here, Hadith number 56, part of a lengthy narration. Ravi, Hazrat Abu Sufyan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Hazrat Abu Sufyan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Hazrat Abu Sufyan, as we know, was the leader of the Quraysh during the pre-Islamic era of ignorance. He accepted Islam on the occasion of Fateh Makkah in this month of Mahi Ramadan Kareem in the 8th year after Hijrah. And he participated in the battles of Hunayn and Ta'if alongside the Prophet ﷺ. He lost his eyesight in the battles that he fought in. And he was appointed the governor of Najran during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. He passed away in Al-Madinatul Munawwara, according to others in Syria, in the 31st year after Hijri. Hazrat Uthman Ghani performed his Salatul Janazah. And of course, he was the father of Hazrat Amir Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Hazrat Abu Sufyan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. और इसके साथ साथ ये भी कहना बहुत ज़रूरी है that we find some people, Neem Rafizi, hidden closet Shias, within our Sunnis as well, who have this bughz and enmity and hatred ma'adallah to certain Sahaba Ikram. Remember, a person is considered to be a Rafizi, a Shia, when they insult and curse or criticize any one companion of the Prophet ﷺ. Having love of the Ahlul Bayt Athhar doesn't make you a Shia. Albatta, having love of the Ahlul Bayt Athhar in its true meaning makes you from the Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. But sad, love for the Sahaba Ikram, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'een. Ahl Sunnat ka hai bera par, ashab-e huzur najam hai aur nau hai itrat Rasulullah ki. Yes, Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, those who love and honor all of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and love and honor all of the Ahlul Bayt Athhar of Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To go to one extreme or the other, this is what leads to rifz, or what leads to nasabiyyat, or becoming from amongst the Khawarij, so on and so forth. So it is paramount that we acknowledge and accept that once an individual has entered into the folds of Islam, and certainly in this case, in the case of Hazrat Abu Sufyan, any person who enters into, we forget their past sins. It's a clean slate. Albatta, you can't even mention what they did before they entered into the folds of Islam. And to use that as ma'adallah, a yardstick against the Sahaba, in particular Hazrat Abu Sufyan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Sayyidah Hind radiyallahu ta'ala anha, and then Hazrat Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala. This is not the way of the Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. This is not the way of the Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. So this narration here, and we'll end upon this, as you can tell, mashallah, we raised around £20,000 last night on the annual fundraiser, the fundraising appeal on YouTube. We, of course, were there till around 1 o'clock in the morning. So I have 2 Jumas to do today, one in Millat Islamiyah, the speech there, and uthe bhi paise ikathe karne. मैं हमेशा कैसे पैसे इकट्ठे करने वास्ते यहाँ मेरी इल्म में कोई वैल्यू नहीं है मेरी सिर्फ इतनी वैल्यू है जो इमाम साहब पैसे इकट्ठे कर सकने अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हाँ वाकया from there I need to come here and then do the speech here and do the khutbah and jamaat, but nevertheless we'll end upon this and the importance of speaking the truth. Before we mention the narration, understand and know that without doubt the most truthful individual within the creation of Allah Almighty is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is here made clear in this riwayat that when the ruler of Rome, Hirqal is one pronunciation, or Hirakal is another, Hirakala, that when he had this encounter with Hazrat Abu Sufyan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, at this point Hazrat Abu Sufyan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu hasn't accepted Islam. He asked the question that فَمَاذَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ, that what does the Prophet ﷺ, what does the one who claims to be a messenger and a prophet order you to do? And Hazrat Abu Sufyan radiyallahu ta'ala responds by saying, "U'budu Allah wahdahu," that he orders us to worship Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala, who is one, and he orders us la tushriku bihi shay'an, that do not ascribe partners to him. Yani wahdaniyya, uluhiyya, rububiyya of Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. And he orders us to abandon what our fathers believed in. And then Hazrat Abu Sufyan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he says, وَيَأْمُرُنَا بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالصِّدْقِ وَالْعَفَافِ وَالصِّلَةِ, that he also orders and commands us to establish the prayer and to be truthful and to remain chaste and also to maintain family ties. Okay. So here, in a variation of this narration, the ruler of Rome actually asked Abu Sufyan that, have you known him to be truthful, i.e. the Prophet ﷺ? And again, he has not yet accepted Islam. Abu Sufyan says that yes, we have known him to be truthful. So speaking the truth is not only something that Allah Almighty commands in the Quran, is not only something which is encouraged through the ta'limat of the Prophet ﷺ, but we find in the shakhsiyat and that of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam was always truthful. Even before Islam, from amongst his names, as-Sadiq and al-Amin. As-Sadiq al-Amin. As-Sadiq, the truthful one. Al-Amin, the trustworthy one. And this is before Ilani Nabuwwat or Risalah. Mushrikeen in Makkah, the policy is they would give their amanat, their wealth, their gold, and their, those possessions that they valued, they would give them to the Prophet ﷺ to look after. And we know on the occasion of the migration, who was commanded to sleep in the bed of the Prophet ﷺ? Sayyidina Ali Murtaza. Mawlai Kainat, who was 23 years old at the time. And one of the reasons why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam chose Sayyidina Ali was to give him this responsibility that you are to return all of the amanat of the mushrikeen in Makkah to them. So even as Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam suffered at the hands of the mushrikeen, he still maintained his great, of course, quality of being truthful, and did not allow anyone to raise a finger against him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, and this reminds me that on the eve of the Battle of Badr, second year after Hijrah, in this month of Mahi Ramadan Kareem, Abu Jahl, Fir'aun of this ummah, who died as a disbeliever, Abu Jahl, he was asked that, have you found Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? This is how the questioner posed it. Have you found him to be truthful? And Abu Jahl says yes. Or pakka dushman sina, just about to fight against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, commander of the army of the mushrikeen of Makkah. He says yes, we have found him to be truthful. So the questioner says that if you found him to be truthful, then why are you fighting against him? He says, Masla is not regarding his character and conduct. We know that he's truthful and he's trustworthy and honest. Issue and problem is that the Banu Hashim already have the responsibility of giving Zamzam water to the Hujjaj. They already have the keys of the Kaaba, they're the custodians of the Kaaba. Now, from amongst them, you have one who is claiming to be a messenger and a prophet. Then what is left for the rest of us? Abu Jahl said this. What is left for the rest of us?
It was the greed.
The greed and the enmity that really consumed Abu Jahl and the mushrikeen in Makkah. Though, again, the point that we're illustrating is that even Abu Jahl, Fir'aun of this ummah, he accepted and acknowledged the truthfulness of the Prophet. Ye gal hai na, that even your dushman say what? Even your dushman, your enemies accept your greatness. Let them burn in their rage. They can say what they want against you. They can look to defame your character. They can look to portray you in a negative way. They can spread vicious rumors and lies about you. Whoever it may be, family members, friends, even your own siblings and children. But when you know yourself, and you know that you haven't wronged anyone, and you know that you've always spoke the truth, and you know that you've upheld the ta'limat of Quran and Sunnah, then it doesn't matter what the people say, you can always hold your head high. You can always hold your head high. So it doesn't really bother, or shouldn't really bother us, what the people say, and which asa puri zindagi bas is rai guzarne hai na, log kya aksan, log kya aksan, log kya aksan. What are people going to say? What are people going to say? Reality is what? That in the end the people will just simply say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. To koi aksan change, to koi aksan manda hai bas. Do hi galla na, changa si ja manda si. So this is your character. Your character is your legacy. It is what defines you. Always be kind to people. Always be compassionate to people. Never do wrong against anyone. And if you have, and it can happen, human nature, sometimes you don't necessarily click with that person. You might have polar opposite character. If something happens between you and another person, then be the first to say sorry. Be the first to apologize. Be the first to forgive and try to forget as well. Some people, also okay, I forgive you. Like they have that enmity towards you then. Their heart will not allow them to forget. Their mind will not allow them to forget. We're not those people who say, I'll forgive you, but I won't forget. We are those people who say, I forgive you and I will forget as well. Varna, सब तो वड्डा मिसाल नबी अलैहिस्सलाम दा ना वही फतेह मक्का का दिन पर tens of thousands of mushrikeen in Makkah who were in front of the, if the Prophet ﷺ, who forgave them, I forgive you just like Yusuf forgave his brothers, لا تثريب عليكم اليوم, each and every one of you are forgiven, there is no revenge on this day. So let's say he, for the purpose of discussion, forgave, but he wasn't to forget, then how could Islam then continue to flourish? In post-Fateh Makkah, when there was a peak once again. So we need to become those people who forgive and forget. वो यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम का भी मिसाल है कुरान में, with his brothers, they threw him into a well, they sold him into slavery, they did all sorts of wrong against him. But Yusuf alaihissalam forgave his brothers and he forgot as well. He forgot what they had done to him. This is the way of a true believer. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala allow us to be from amongst those who are truthful. Allow us to be from amongst those who forgive and forget. And ultimately, may we adopt the characteristics and the traits of the Prophet ﷺ into our lives. Inshallah Azza wa Jal. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala habibihi Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.